if you want to break with these imperialist forces, it's simple. We denounce the agreements. Everything starts from there. I think the example of Chad in any case is tangible. They started by denouncing the agreements. Otherwise, if we don't denounce the agreements, just saying that the bases leave, we haven't done anything. Because the problem lies in the colonial agreements, the defenses that have been signed since independence. The most dangerous is not the one you see in the bases. The most dangerous are the military advisors. Military advisors exist in all these countries. They existed in Burkina as well until the end of 2022, until we took responsibility. And who are these military advisors? They are the ones who are supposed to implement France's policy. Here, they must work to make our armies very weak so that France can always have the argument to exist here. Under their influence, they had succeeded. Our sentinels were therefore standing guard with sticks. That's what France wants from our armies. When we reach this stage, we have no choice but to want them to come and settle. But the Burkinabe army managed to get rid of the military advisors. Unfortunately, I think that in 2019, after Operation Otapono, where the French saw that the Burkinabe army still had the capacity to respond to terrorists, they called the chiefs of staff in France. They instructed him to reintegrate the military advisors throughout the structure. Well, they did not agree. But upon returning to the country, the politicians instructed him to accept the military advisors. And that's when the military advisors returned to the Burkinabe army in 2019. With all the consequences we know, the army was on the verge of disappearing in the years 2020-2021. And indeed, this is the time when many soldiers had to desert because there was no longer any hope. We were in the process of collapsing. That's a bit how they work at the General Staff headquarters. In all army headquarters, in the schools, they are the ones who are supposed to dictate the policy of our army. They are the ones who tell us when to recruit, how to recruit, and what to do with them. They are in the schools to tell us how to train them, and so on. As long as these military advisors are there, you are not independent. Your army will just have the appearance of an army that is there to perform parades, a circus. But when war comes, you will realize that a parade is one thing, but war is another thing. You have to break the agreements. It's the only way to have an independent army and build strength. But many people do not understand this, perhaps. And even with these agreements, France selects from our states officer cadets to go and train them. It's through these same agreements. But in reality, these officers who go to train, for the most part for France, they come to serve the French state in their country. They do not come to serve our countries. They train them so that they come to serve the interests of the French state. I can provide evidence of this. When we revolted, many officers in Burkina who were trained in France were immediately contacted to tell them that it was time to take action because you were trained for this, to serve France's interests. Most of these officers reported back to us. We took note and we continued to monitor. When an officer trained in France returns to his country and unfortunately dies, either by accident or on the battlefield. In France, there is a night of tribute to the fallen in the army, as there is everywhere else. During the night of tribute to the fallen, the name of the officer in question is mentioned, and it is said, died for France. They do not train him to serve his country, they train him to serve their state. And in many African states, there are plenty of such officers.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. I hope you're doing fine where you are, and if you ain't, please do fine where you are. One of you told me that Coca-Cola is unhealthy to my health, but I feel I'm addicted to drinking this. Tell me what I should replace with this. I just like drinking something non-alcoholic, so my drug is Coca-Cola. Anyways, let's move to Africa. Now, right now, we can't speak of Africa without thinking, we can't speak of African leaders without having Ibrahim Traore into our minds. Ibrahim Traore has shocked the whole world. Ibrahim Traore has just been one of the best leaders that Africans we thought were extinct, right? We've had better leaders before, but it didn't go well with them. We had Patrice Lumumba, we had Thomas Sankara, we had Kwame Nkrumah. For the Ghanaians, some of them may say that the old man Kwame Nkrumah was a little bit lazy. He was unfit, but they forget where he came from. Where they came from with these gentlemen they call lazy. Kwame Nkrumah was a man who exposed the whites for who they are, who they were, right? Thomas Sankara did the same. Patrice Lumumba did the same. But what was their end? The Western governments took part in de-establishing them. For Kwame Nkrumah, they didn't assassinate him, but what happened is this. He was overthrown. He was overthrown when he was on a meeting abroad. He was just given a phone call. You've been overthrown, bro. But for Thomas Sankara and Patrice Lumumba, these people were brutally murdered. They were brutally murdered, by just Africans. Africans are the ones who did this. And these people just wanted good things for Africa. So looking at this history, I come to understand why we Africans might think that we've run out of good leaders. But having Ibrahim Traore at this time and age, having Ibrahim Traore existing today in Burkina Faso is a reminder that Africa is still becoming. Africa still has hope, It's not like we put our all hope in Ibrahim Traore. We put our hope in God, but God uses human beings that are capable, such as Ibrahim Traore. A video was circulating online about this white man who is praising Ibrahim Traore, and this white man, ironically, his own government is not proud of Ibrahim Traore, but the people of that country are proud of him. Makes you wonder, who elects these leaders? Is it the people or is it the governments? Ibrahim Traore might have become a president by overthrowing that guy, but people chose him. People will still re-elect him. He has done much in a few years. He has done so much in 2 years, We have that there's a president who took around 48 years. He is a very good friend to the Western world. But Ibrahim Traore was just spent 2 years, is an enemy to the Western world. Yep. I want us to dive into this video, listen to it. I shall get back with a deeper, critical analysis.
Yo, why do you keep trying to kill this man? After now 20 failed assassination attempts on the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, I now know why they're calling him the most important black man on the planet. He answers the question, what would happen if Africa just thugged out, took its own resources by force, and distributed them equitably among their population without corruption? Well, he did that, and now they're mad about it. And now after just 2 years in charge, he's got a list of accomplishments that put other African leaders to shame. Dude literally stopped the export of Burkina Faso's gold to Europe. Increased productivity, taking Burkina Faso's GDP from 18.8 billion to 22.1 billion dollars. Then the dude banned French military exercises in Burkina Faso. Then he kicked out French media and French troops. Bro built new railroads, new highways. He invested in hundreds and hundreds of tractors for their farming capacity. He got brand new high quality seeds for the farmers to produce so that they can feed themselves. And he banned them weird ass British powdered wigs they be wearing in the parliament and court. He was like, no more of that. We African, and that just looks strange on y'all. And now he's spearheading the alliance of the Sahel states between Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, because these are all formerly French colonized places. They speak French, and they just decided we gonna defend and protect ourselves, create a block, and trade with each other. Holla bad. Listen, this is leadership. So yeah, France acting like a jealous ex. Now that they see the one they abused doing good, they want to intervene with force. And here's how it plays into the greater picture. Because, in case you haven't noticed, the world profits from dirt cheap African minerals. But if Burkina Faso and the Sahel states show that, number one, we can kick out colonizers, and number two, we're going to make y'all pay fair market prices for the resources within our dirt, that means that this might start a domino effect in Africa. Some are calling it the Ibrahim effect, and it's already taken place because young folks all over the continent is calling out for more leadership like Ibrahim Traore. Low-key, us Black Americans could use some more leadership like that too. African leadership and Black American leadership suffered the same problem. The OG original leaders who really was about the people got killed off. Our Dr. King and Malcolm X got killed off. Their Patrice Lumumba and Thomas Sankara got killed off. And then a bunch of sellouts and greedy ass mooches and leeches have taken over and abused the people's finances and faith. And there needed to be somebody to stand on business actually for the people with brute force against the colonizer and benevolence with their own people. And that is the example that our brother is setting in Burkina Faso. This means that we could be turning over a new leaf as a people if we follow this man's example, because it's like, what is white supremacy really but an evolutionary force for those who have been subject to it to overcome? And so when you're talking about evolutionary forces, you have to ask yourself, what is this force trying to make me? And the faster you get to that end product, the faster that pressure dissolves. So like, why did Africa fall? It fell partially because of its openness, because we had a kind of like Dr. Kingian way of looking at the world, and that everybody's our brother and we want to be benevolent with folks. Well, that works with folks who have that consciousness. But if they don't have that consciousness, you have to adapt the behavior necessary to meet the challenge to preserve your own life. That's what the Malcolm X's of the world were trying to teach us. But they got assassinated before they could adapt the philosophy into hard power. Some places of the continent, they did get really forceful military leaders, right? But then they went too far into the other direction and started exploiting and dominating their own people out of greed. Nah, the pendulum got to balance. You got to ride the center. You got to be Martin Luther King with your brother and Malcolm X to the other. So this brother, Ibrahim Traore, steps up and he was like, let me learn the lessons from history in order to make me effective. I got to be benevolent with my people, but I got to be effectively militaristic enough to protect the beautiful thing that I'm building. And the sooner we get there, following this cat's example, humble yourself, be man enough to say I can learn from him, then the sooner that we get to where we need to be outside of this whole white supremacy dynamic. Because I don't know about you, but I'm done with that. My name's Theo EJ Wilson. Like, follow, and share. Tell me what you think.
Burkina Faso was hit. There's a lot of casualties. But before I play the video, Ibrahim Traore was not hit. I want to make that clear. He's not hit. We already know who this is. Since day one, they've been trying to get to this man. Nothing worked. So now they're framing themselves as one thing or another.
The recent attack on Burkina Faso, jihadist forces affiliated with the Group for the Support of Islam and Muslims attacked Djibo, a town in northern Burkina Faso, targeting military zones and civilian areas. The jihadists also threatened to advance to Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, in the nearest future. This attack has left Djibo and its surrounding regions in critical condition, as there are reports of numerous casualties, and the humanitarian situation seems to deteriorate as people are left at a disadvantaged point, vulnerable to attacks in the future. Now, this jihadist attack has been ongoing for a while. It has led to the displacement of over millions of people and the loss of thousands of lives. Well, the military are trying their best possible to fight against these guys and ensure that Burkina Faso is free from war and free from external control. They've tried their best possible and now they come in the form of war. And we hope and pray that Burkina Faso fights and overcomes this. What do you think about the story? Comments below.
You know, once when an African leader becomes a friend of the African citizens, he automatically becomes an enemy of the West, you know? Because the West has always wanted to exploit Africa. Before Ibrahim Traore, we had presidents, even before the president that was there. But these presidents were playing the tune that was being played by the French government, you see? There's this proverb that says, you'll dance to the tune. It's a saying, you'll dance to the tune. So Ibrahim Traore is not dancing to the tune, and so he becomes an enemy to the West. You know, he decides to serve his own people. He understands the struggles. He understands that once he becomes, once he acknowledges that he's going to keep his pockets loaded, he's going to make his citizens poor. And this is a perfect example of a leader that has come or that was born in hardships. See, sometimes the hardships people go through are a good thing, you know. Sometimes these hardships make us better versions of ourselves that we ever could be, right? So Ibrahim Traore is that leader with whom he's like, you can think of him like a reincarnate, though I don't believe in reincarnation. I can say, for the lack of a better word, I can call him the reincarnate of Thomas Sankara. You see, this man was given an opportunity by the Saudi Arabian government to build mosques. He was being offered money. He said that, no, we don't need mosques, we need jobs. He turned down the offer. The people need jobs, you know. And this guy has had many opportunities to make good cash. But he's the perfect leader. Let me call him perfect, even though no one is perfect. He's perfect for the reasons that he does. It's very unusual for an African leader to think of his own people other than himself. In Africa is where you find leaders are, you know, throwing away money, buying what and what. Like the presidents and the vice president of Equatorial Guinea. He has a huge collection of cars. Some of these cars were impounded in Switzerland. Just imagine. While the average Equatorian Guinean, whichever, it's such a hard thing to pronounce, is suffering, does not have electricity, you know. That is just insane. It's mind-blowing. Not the good kind of mind-blowing, but the bad. Ibrahim Traore is a game changer that Africans have always wanted, and we've been offered Ibrahim Traore right on our table. Let's dine with this gentleman. Let's learn from him. Let's know how leaders should be, because he's setting the perfect examples of future leaders in Burkina Faso and in Africa as well. He's so young. We don't need to be electing old people who are corrupt. We know that most of these leaders who are corrupt in Africa are of a certain age. I ain't against old people. I have old people in my life. Get it right kindly. What I'm saying is that most of them have a particular mindset, and that mindset aligns itself with a particular generation. Younger leaders would mean a change, but not all young leaders, and also not all old leaders. We need more of Ibrahim Traore. Yes. Share your thoughts on what you think about this video. Support me on Patreon. I'll surely appreciate. I have 33 members, only 4 pay. Kindly just give even $1 per month. It goes a long way, you know. In Africa, that is a lot of money. $30, so much money. I can do a lot of things with it. So support me on Patreon. I'll surely appreciate. And the video is not about money. The video is about Ibrahim Traore and leadership in Africa. I hope you get value. And see you in the next one. Thank you.